What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am super excited to share with you guys a tour of my fish room. So if you've been following the channel, you know that I keep both freshwater tanks and saltwater tanks. I love them both. So we'll go through tank by tank. I'll give you guys a quick overview. I'll show you what's going well, and I'll also show you guys what's going not so well. Because if you're in this hobby, you know that problems can arise and things don't always go smoothly or as planned. And I just think it's important to show and document that kind of stuff. Also, I'm not going to be cleaning up any algae or removing unsightly equipment just for the sake of making a video. I really want to give you guys a glimpse into my world and what I see on a day-to-day basis. I also wanted to share with you guys some plans I have coming up in the future, so definitely stick around to the end of the video if you want to hear about that. All right, let's dive in. We're going to start with the saltwater side of the room. So for this, we're definitely going to need the orange filter to deal with the intense blue reef lighting. So this here is my 3-gallon Pico budget reef tank. I made a video about this. I'll leave a link in the description. But basically, I built this reef tank for $135, and that includes the rock and the sand, which is pretty crazy for a reef tank. That being said, since I made the video, I did add a few extra pieces of equipment. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through it. So overall, the tank is doing, I think, pretty well. The corals seem pretty happy, and in fact, they're starting to grow. So this udder chaos zoanthid is sprouting a new head, and this zoanthid is sprouted 2 new heads. So the corals seem happy. I've been struggling to figure out what kind of fish I could potentially put in here. I think it's a really small space, so it's not like the most humane environment to put a fish in. So in order to provide the coral with nutrition, I have actually been dosing nitrates and phosphates. This is kind of a scary thing because when I started the reef hobby back in like 2007 or 2008, we didn't dose nitrates and phosphates. In fact, we tried to strip all that stuff from the water. And now we're finding that, well, wait a minute, corals actually need a little bit of this because the algae that lives in their tissue needs it to photosynthesize. So yeah, this tank overall is doing pretty well. The only issue I've had was actually with this stuff here. The dosage I used the first time was way too much. I ended up with a huge algae and bacterial bloom. So luckily with a tank this size, it's pretty easy to deal with. You just do a 100% water change. So that's what I did. And things are back to normal, looking pretty good. So since I've made the tank, I have added an auto top off. This is just a cheap gravity fed auto top off. Just when the water level drops, it feeds in a little bit of fresh water. I've also added a temperature controller just because I don't really trust the cheap $20 Amazon heater I bought. So this is just a fail-safe in case the temperature gets too high. This controller will shut off the heater. That being said, I haven't really had any issues with this with the heater yet. So this is just kind of for peace of mind. So this was like 30 bucks and that was like $7. So what's that? 40 plus 135. We're at like 175 bucks now, all in, which still isn't too bad. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with how this tank turned out. I'm really excited to see how it grows in and watch all the corals grow. Yeah. Next up is my Red Sea Reefer 250. This is a 65-gallon reef tank. It's currently home to a bunch of different coral I've been collecting. So I've got soft coral, I've got large polyp stony coral, and I've got small polyp stony coral. So a bit of everything. It's also home to these 2 clownfish. This is the larger adult female, and the male is somewhere around here too. He usually doesn't go too far from that. Oh, there he is. So they're being hosted by this. They don't really go too far from the security or protection blanket of this thing. It's also home to 2 Talbot damselfish. These guys are like absolute jerks. There's one. They basically bully any other fish I try to put in the tank. So I tried to put a chorus wrasse in, and they basically bullied him to death, which is pretty unfortunate. So I'm currently looking for other fish options I could put in here that would do well with the damsels and the clownfish. So if you guys have suggestions, definitely drop a comment below. I would love to hear them. Because yeah, I think this tank could support at least one more smaller fish. Issues-wise, as you can see, we've got some cyanobacteria on the sand bed and the rocks. It's not a huge deal because it's really not impacting the coral or the fish at all. It's just kind of unsightly. So basically every week I go through and gravel vacuum all of this out of the sand bed so it's nice and white again. So it's kind of annoying, but I've learned to kind of just live with it for now. Maybe in the future I'll add another power head or something to push some flow over here so that it doesn't settle on the sand bed. I've also recently just done an ICP test on the water, and it actually revealed that my water is quite low on trace elements, which corals need to grow. So what I did was I went out and bought this trace element supplement, kind of hard to see, Isolate MT. So this is a blend of different trace elements. It's kind of like an all-in-one solution. So I've been adding a single drop of this stuff, so it's pretty potent. And they're also trace elements, so you don't need a whole ton of it. So the plan is to keep dosing it for a few weeks, do another ICP test because I can't measure trace elements at home with home test kits, and see where things are. So hopefully adding this, it'll help bring those levels up, and I'll see some improved coloration, growth, that kind of thing from some of my coral. So definitely stay tuned for more info on that in the future. All right, now we're moving on to the freshwater side of the room. And I've got my guitar here. By the way, I am absolutely terrible at guitar. Maybe if we hit like a sub goal or something like that, I'll play a song for you guys. But I am very musically challenged and it will not be good, just so you know. Okay, so back on to fish stuff. So this is my UNS 40C. It's a planted freshwater tank. Volume's around 15 gallons. This is actually the longest running tank, freshwater tank I have in this room. I think it's been going for close to a year now. And it's definitely gone through its ups and downs. You can see that I've gotten a lot of really crazy growth out of these plants. I am running CO2, which helps plants grow like crazy fast, which is cool. It's home to 5 rummy-nosed tetras. If you guys don't know, this is a fish that likes to jump. So I ended up having to put this screen on top because otherwise I'll lose fish. I ended up losing a couple, which was really unfortunate. So yeah, lesson learned, fish that are darty, jumpy, definitely get a top. The tank overall, I'm like kind of happy with it and kind of not at the same time. There is some black brush algae I've been dealing with. I've made videos about this, tried to get rid of it. It just keeps coming back. So in addition to the black brush algae, I'm really not happy with this stand I bought. So unlike the Red Sea Reefer stand, which is actually on like little feet, so that if water spills underneath there, it can dry and not be in contact with the particle board. This one, not so much. Goes all the way to the ground, and if you do this, water spills happen sometimes. Even a little amount can cause the board to soak up water. And in addition to looking unsightly, it just kind of makes me nervous. So yeah, I think I definitely, at the very least, if I stick with this tank, want to get a new stand. All right, next up is the UNS 5N. I think this is a 5-gallon tank, I think. I've had this one for, I think, around 4 months now. And again, it's gone through its own issues in the startup phase, like with algae and stuff like that. But currently it's at a point which I think is starting to look pretty cool, where nature just kind of takes over and does its own thing. Like you've got this hydrocotyl tripartita just going crazy. The Rotala in the back, again, is going nuts because I'm also running CO2 on this tank. It's currently home to about, I don't even know how many are in here, but like maybe like 40 or 50 Neocaridina pumpkin shrimp. My thought process was they're breeding like crazy. I don't know what to do with like 500 shrimp. So I thought I'd introduce some fish into this tank to hopefully kind of control the population and eat some of the baby shrimplets. Just a couple days ago, I went out and I got some pygmy Corydora catfish. I got around 8 of them. Unfortunately, I lost one in the acclimation process. So they seem to be doing okay right now. They like to hide a lot in the wood, the rocks, and the plants. I've noticed that I used to have all of these freshwater like copepods in here, and it seems like there are none now. So they've like devastated that little population of pods. So I know they're eating, which is good. But I haven't seen them go after any shrimplets or adult shrimp or anything like that. So definitely stay tuned for more updates on this tank. I'm pretty happy with it. It's kind of like turning into a bit of a jungle tank, which I think is pretty cool. All right, last but not least is my UNS 20C. I think this tank is around 2 gallons. It's also the newest tank I have in the room. It's 2 gallons. It's only got plants in it right now. I was thinking maybe I could put like some more shrimp in here, like a different color of Neocaridina. But I'm not sure yet. I'm still kind of deciding. What I did differently with this scape is I tried to use like sand and rocks instead of carpet in the foreground like I usually do. So I really love carpets, by the way. You can probably tell that up until this point, I was all about carpets. But carpets come with their own set of issues. Like it's a lot of maintenance to keep it trimmed, and it just takes up a lot of time. So I thought, let me try this like sand and pebble look and see how that looks. And I'm actually super happy with how it turned out. I think it looks quite good. So in the future, I'll definitely try more stuff like this, where instead of a carpet, I have a sand bed. I think it looks pretty nice. So yeah, it was kind of a cool little pico or nano experiment, if you will, for aquascaping. And it's kind of inspired me to try new and different stuff. I'm also running CO2 on here. The plant growth, just like the other CO2 tanks, is pretty crazy, and it's a lot to keep up with, just trimming wise. Like a lot of these plants get super long, super quick. The Rotala will grow like, I swear, an inch a day or something like that, which is crazy. But yeah, overall, super happy with this tank and the pico rack or nano rack, whatever you want to call it, as a whole. I think it looks quite nice. So my plan moving forward is to do something different with this tank. I think it's had a really good run. I've enjoyed it a ton, but it's time to move on and do something different. So if you guys have suggestions for things you think I should do with this space, it has to be an aquarium, drop a comment below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you checking out my video. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you a cent and it helps me out tremendously. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.